Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. We have a really fun guest today. One of my buddies, I just adore him, Pete Bercich. You know him from playing with the Vikings, coaching with the Vikings, and now one of the voices of the Vikings. I'm so excited to get his take on the 10-2 iteration of the Vikings. That's coming up.
That's right. This is Dawn of Sports, starring Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9. Thanks to Pete for joining us today. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. Alex Haugen is our producer. Best way to listen to this show or any of our many shows at talknorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. And thanks to our longtime sponsors, Rudy Luther Toyota, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Natrium.com.
Well, I am so excited to have Pete Bercich on this show. And Jim, welcome back from your cruise. Very nice of you to, come back with the tropical suntan for us. But you also come back to a 10-2 Vikings.
I'm an old Irish guy. I just get blotchy. I don't actually tan.
Yeah.
Blotchy is good though,
Exactly.
right? As long as you get checked for skin cancer, boys. So Pete, I know that I see you every Sunday, and I get your takes all the time, but I just want to ask you, just as if you can take off your coaching hat, your broadcasting hat, everything, just as a pure person on looking at this Vikings team, are you shocked at the 10-2 or mildly amused?
No, I mean, I'm definitely surprised. It's one of those things where you think back and where you thought this team was going to go, and then you just have to remember why you questioned the Vikings, why you did not pick them to win the division, right? And the reason is so many new faces and new places, and starting with the quarterback position. We had no idea how Sam Darnold was going to work out. You had none, zero. So that's an unbelievably important position. It's the hardest position to play in sports. And then defensively, look at all the new, you have all the new names on the defensive side of the football. It's not just Grenard, who we knew was good, but you have Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman. How good are they going to be? We had no idea. You bring in Jerry Tillery, a guy who was kind of a journeyman. He was, bouncing around teams a little bit. How was he going to play? And then you have Stephon Gilmore, Fabian Moreau, Shaq Griffin, all these. And then, you draft Dallas Turner, which is going to help, but Jihad Ward. I mean, how many names do I have to put out there? And these guys,
Right.
These are all guys that contribute week in and week out. So the fact that nobody, picked the Vikings or expected this out of the Vikings, to me, that's just common sense. There were just way too many question marks, considering the Packers go down to Dallas and win a playoff game, and then Detroit, they fought to the bitter end, but eventually lost the NFC Championship game to San Francisco. So third, right? On a high note, you're thinking, okay, third in the division, right? So it's been all these free agents have worked out, which is, I think, who and what this franchise is doing.
That one of the funny memes I saw, it was Tiger Woods and his back is to the camera, and there's John Daly. And, above it has 11-1 Lions, and then 10-2. So it says 11-1 Lions with Jared Goff and something brilliant. And then it says 10-2 Vikings with with Sam Darnold messing around to find out.
Right.
That's just kind of how it is, right? I mean, they didn't know that would stick.
Right. You get that feeling that, you're kind of playing with house money in that regard, right? Like the fact that we're even in this thing is, something we should all be happy about, and just enjoy the ride. From the way I look at it, especially you look at the top 7 teams in the NFC, and then you look at who's number 8, right? That's the cutoff between making the playoffs and not. And it's a pile of 6-win teams. So right now you got a 4-game lead on the next team that could, obviously knock you out of the playoffs. So they put themselves in a really good position. But yeah, then you look at the next level and say, okay, where would you rather play? Well, obviously you would rather play the winner of the NFC South or NFC West, right? Instead of having to go out to Philadelphia in the first round, if nothing changes. I mean, the Vikings, they could still, they could still walk through the rest of the season if they went out and Detroit stubs their toe. Who knows? You could be home field throughout the rest of it. The possibilities are there. It's not, out of the realm of thinking that it could happen. So, yeah, other than maybe, Paul Allen, nobody expected this.
Well, let me tell you,
I know Suhan didn't. I know Jim did not.
I'll chime in here.
Jim?
I picked them to go 6-11 for all the reasons Pete cited. And you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think any of us should do predictions. We have no idea what's going to happen. I'm thrilled that I was wrong because it means that we have a much more interesting team, interesting season. But the only time I ever doubted that this is going to be a rough season was when they signed Gilmore. Because I'm like, okay, you're not signing Gilmore for 1 year if this is just kind of a get through it season. I thought the Gilmore signing was the one time I thought, okay, maybe they think they really have something.
Right. Yeah. Getting aggressive there.
And here's the thing is it's not like one of the players could walk up to you and be like, you didn't believe in us. It's like, yeah, I could give you 50 reasons why. I just went through all the free agents. It's like there were way too many question marks, and being, trying to be common sense about it. You're thinking, yeah, they're going to have their struggle. No one expected them but it's a tip of the cap to them and what the coaching staff has done. How well they've done especially with the free agents. I mean, that's a Brian Flores thing. And, that leads me to think, I always think about, it was courageous for Kevin O'Connell to bring in Brian Flores. And why do I say that? Because young coaches, and remember, he hired him after his first season, a guy who, after his first season, brings in another former head coach. It's basically like, yeah, if you want to be cynical about it, you're like, okay, I just hired my replacement, right? If things aren't going well, who's the next guy on the list? I mean, look at the Bears. The Bears they fired their head coach and they fired their coordinator. They don't have anybody with any head coaching experience, right, to be the next in line, so to speak. Well, Kevin O'Connell said, you know what, I'm hiring Flores because he's the best guy for the job. And that's Flores is saving this franchise, I think, a ton of money because he's getting the best out of what he has. And obviously, Coach O'Connell is doing an unbelievable job with the quarterback position. So all those things have to come together to get us to where we are today. Doesn't mean it's going to get us anywhere we want to go tomorrow, but for right now, that's all worked out, and it's been a fun season, and like I said, so the fans sit back and enjoy.
You know what, Pete, I want to ask you this. I know at the beginning of the year, we're all like, oh my goodness, Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard, Stephon Gilmore. But one of the names that I know everyone was happy because he's a former Gopher, but the guy that, we call the head of the snake, basically, Blake Cashman, he's really been proving just how valuable those games where he was out, they just kind of didn't know which direction or how to, make the coverage work sometimes. Just in your opinion, being a former linebacker, just how important he is. And I think he gets better every single game.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he's unique in the fact that, you get a lot of linebackers. A lot of times, linebackers are good in the front, meaning against the run, or they're good blitzers, that kind of thing. And those guys usually suffer in coverage, right? They don't have the
Right.
instincts in coverage and some of those things. Cashman, I don't know, Cashman doesn't have a lot of holes in his game. I mean, he's a very, very good blitzer. We saw him when he was down in Houston with Gernard. They ran games together, and that's a whole nother world when you're rushing the quarterback and running defensive line games, not just blitzing and taking on running backs. But the versatility there, and then his ability also to play coverage. Yeah, I think some of the hiccups in the road without Cashman, some of it had to do with the plan that they had against Detroit. Number one, it was Detroit. And number two,
Yeah.
maybe having Dallas Turner play off the ball a little bit. I don't know if that didn't probably go the way that they wanted to. And then you turn around and have a short week against the Rams. You can't do a whole lot. And it's been kind of a, bring Metellus in, let him play linebacker a little bit, get Van Ginkel off the ball. It's like they had to do a lot, jump through a lot of hoops, let's say, to replace the productivity of Cashman. And with him out there, everybody goes back to where they play best, right? And so the whole entire unit's better.
On the offensive side of the ball, I mean, I know Justin Jefferson loves single high coverage coming at him. He wants, that one-on-one thing, but he's not always going to get it, and he hasn't. How deep in the playoffs, if they make it, can they go if Jefferson is not the guy that can get the ball more and more? We saw a little bit of it this week where he got 99 yards, just one shy of he said, I don't like these games, one shy, and I don't even get the 100 yards. But
right.
and I know they're game planning. They're trying anything they can do to get the ball to Jets. He said, and it was kind of subtle in his post-game comments, that he really has been emphasizing he likes the up-tempo way, but that you can't always be up-tempo in terms of your offense. But what do you see like going down the stretch here about how to get him open and to utilize him more?
Yeah. Well, there were, you go back and watch, rewatch the game. There were, there were a handful of plays where he was open and we didn't get the football to him. So there was some meat left on the bone, especially in the first half of the game. That there were opportunities. So he's getting open. And again, it's that whole thing is an ebb and flow. And, I think I go back to the Jets game with how the corners they didn't care about getting pass interference or holding penalties. They were just going to rough up our wide receivers and try to frustrate them. And then, and then toward the end of the game, you hope that by the end of the game, the referees are so used to you grabbing and holding that in the key moment, they just don't throw their flag. I mean, it's a tactic. It can be done. But does every team have that corner depth to stop him and Addison and Hawkinson? And then you have to build that versatility into your offensive system that if one guy is, having a rough day or being covered, that you can beat a team with the other players. And I think, we've shown that with the big games like Addison had against Chicago. And so you have other weapons. And, Justin Jefferson's still the first name written on the board when a defense goes, all right, who do we have to stop? And so they're going to start with him, but there'll be more opportunities for him. But yeah, he's a necessary piece. They've learned to, use him to affect plays and get other guys open. I mean, that's going to be the big thing is just, if they're going to make these changes to cover JJ, then how do you take advantage of them? And the other thing too is I've said it before, but I remember talking to Scott Linehan when Randy Moss was here, and he's like, we shouldn't even watch film because the coverages that they show and we chart and we get tendencies on, throw that all out the window because they change everything to slow down Randy. And I think we're seeing some of that with Jefferson too. So there's a definite feeling out period early in games where you have to see, well, okay, what are they doing to stop us? And then what are we going to do to counter that? So, and then in the meantime, get them the ball quickly, maybe a few times, but it's a yeah, it's a process, and I think they're finally wrapping their heads around it, and we'll see.
Yeah, that's what Jet said. He goes, we don't even need to look at film because it's not what we're going to see on game day. So we might as well just react,
Exactly. It's in a lot of ways that's true, and it's happened before, right? So when he says that, that's where he's coming from.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break because Jim has to thank his BFFs coming up. This is my favorite part of the day after talking to you, Pete.
Yeah, let's take care of the business of the business. Thanks to longtime sponsor and longtime supporter of women's sports in the Twin Cities, Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
Thanks also to a company I just keep hearing great things about from all my friends and colleagues, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And check out natrium.com and the Natrium and Wildflower Shops, natrium.com. That's right, natrium.com. Go to a Natrium or a Wildflower location. I go to the Wildflower location. It's walking distance from me. You can get daily doses. You can get balms, antifungal stuff, anti-infectious stuff, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, stuff to help you with muscle pain, arthritis, tendonitis. Man, I'm describing myself so well here. You get quick pain relief. You get oil to benefit your guts. But what I use, and I keep telling you this because it's true, I use the sleep stuff. It just chills you out, allows you to slide into sleep, into a peaceful sleep. It makes a big difference for me as someone who has trouble stopping his brain late at night. But I'm also hearing from a lot of my friends who have gone to a Wildflower or a Natrium shop and have just got the fun stuff, which is drinks with either THC or CBD, gummies, candies, dips. I mean, there are just so many varieties. I really recommend going to a Natrium or Wildflower shop. They're beautiful shops. The variety is amazing. And when you're first starting out, if you're like me, you need an expert to help you sort through it and figure out exactly what's going to work for you. So go to a Natrium or a Wildflower shop, figure out what works for you. And then after that, if you want to make it more convenient, then you go to natrium.com and have it delivered. Whatever way you use it, whatever you choose to use, I guarantee it will improve your life. Now, ready for some more with Dawn and Pete. A reminder, we have a great lineup. We have Randy Shaver on high school sports, Mike Grimm on the Gophers, Roy Smalley, Lavelle Neal, myself on the Twins in our Chin Music show. We have Russo and LaPanta on hockey, Gorg on hockey, John Krasinski on the Wolves, the Viking Update show, John Millay, Jeff Diamond, former Vikings general manager on the Vikings. That's just part of our lineup. Check out talknorth.com, including our outdoor content. And if you like a show, subscribe to it. Best way to listen. Back to you, Dawn.
Well, Jim, you can tell that you're fresh off vacation. Maybe you don't even need an atrium right now because you didn't get excited for your BFF. So I'm just, where's the excited Jim again? Where is he?
Not all those pills lead to excitement. Some of them put me to sleep, which is kind of what I want.
That's what I'm saying. You seem a little chill right now. Yeah. Here's he with this BFF, and you're like, yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. So Pete, everyone this Sunday is getting excited for Kirk Cousins to come to town. And if you're at the game, fans, and you're watching the scoreboard and they showed one of Kirk's 4 interceptions, the one for a pick 6, people were laughing and then they were cheering. And I said, that is colder than the air outside, fans. Like, Minnesota fans were cold on that, aren't they? Like, what's the reception going to be for Kirk when he comes back?
Who knows? I mean, I think
Yeah.
the best thing that they can do is create the crowd noise. That never helps an offense. With Kirk,
Do you think he'll be
yeah,
cheered, though?
it's kind of like I don't know. It's the never Kirkers out there, the guys that never liked Kirk. They're all happy. He played well when he was with us. He is who he is. Meaning, if you give him time and you turn this game into like a 7-on-7 drill, he'll throw the ball up and down the field on you no matter what. I like Darnell Mooney. I think he's a good receiver, so he has some talent on the outside. And if you're not careful, you'll see a certain side of the old Kirk Cousins where it's just up and down the field. But the book on him is still the same thing. Get people in his face, get pressure on him. I looked at his interceptions. The first one he threw was just it was a beautiful play by the corner. So I can't really fault him on that one. That's just an unbelievable play by the defense. The pick 6, he got hit one time and he got hit hard in that Charger game. And that ball he threw out to the flat was just late. It was, so who knows if it was a mistake on a cover or on a route or whatever. And, the third pick was him, I think, was just careless. He just threw the ball up in the air. And then the last one was a 4th and 13 or 3rd and 13 or whatever it was. So they weren't horrible, right? It wasn't a deal where you're just like, what is he doing? Right. You can see what he's trying to do. And that's Kirk, right? You got to force him into the mistakes, and he's not going to scramble, so you can play more man to man. You can do some other things. You know where he's going to be in the pocket. He's not going to move around too much, so you can, just try to collapse him and keep people in his face and make him uncomfortable. Because when he's uncomfortable, then he goes to his checkdowns. He doesn't let the routes develop all the time, and that's just kind of the game that you got to play to, against him.
He also, you can't underestimate the fact that he seems calm. Yeah, you like that, all that stuff. But he's going to be fired up to come in here. And we saw when he was with the Vikings, when he went back to the Commanders, and how he took care of business there. It was on, the show Quarterback, the whole deal. When he's fired up, he can come in here and be dangerous. So,
oh yeah,
tell me, Pete, what it's like. I know that the majority of coaches and players like to kind of play down that emotion of coming back to a team, but it is a real factor. Some of the players now, like Jonathan Graham, like, it is real. Like, those emotions are real. Somebody's got to keep them in check. You got to unleash them. But yeah, whenever people say, "Oh, it's just another game," it's not just another game.
No, yeah, I agree with you on that. For him, he's obviously familiar with the stadium, familiar with the surface, familiar with everything there. So, he'll probably feel more comfortable that way coming into this game. When you're a quarterback in the NFL and you've been around as long as Kirk, you've played in some big games, right? You've been through a ton emotionally. So this is just kind of one more log on the fire, or just one more game. So, in that respect, him being such a veteran and being around for so long, I would have to believe him when he's like, yeah, it's kind of, another game. It's going to mean a little bit more. But it's like, I don't know. It's an effort thing. And what I mean by this is, like, if you're Jonathan Grenard and you're playing against your old team and you're fired up, that's going to help you play better, because you're going to have more energy. You're going to have, more pursuit, more all this and that. And for a defensive player, that's going to help. As a quarterback, I don't know if trying harder is going to make you better. It's like golf. right?
Interesting.
The more
Yeah.
harder you try, like that's why I don't like golf, because the harder I try, the worse I get.
Oh, that's why you don't like golf.
And
Oh,
so,
okay.
that position of quarterback, yeah, I don't know if trying harder is always going to always going to make you better. So I think at that position, it's a little bit less of a of a deal saying, my God, he's all fired up, he's going to play great. It's like, well, I don't know, a quarterback, I don't know if that's a great thing.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. Every single time if people ask me a question about Pete Bercich, there was like, what is it like for a guy that used to play to have to go do like color on TV or radio? And I said, I don't know how to answer that. Like, you're going to have to ask Pete himself. Yeah, first of all, I've never played in the NFL and I've never done that kind of thing. When you first started getting into it, because you and PA are in such this sync, it's kind of like a dance where he does his thing, you get in your. What was the hardest thing for you when you first had to get into that groove?
Well, yeah, it was interesting because there was no practice, no coaching, no nothing. It was just the first preseason game in 2007, the year we drafted Adrian Peterson, and it was just kind of like, all right, here you go. And then you just talk when it was just literally just talk when PA's not talking, right? What's on the top of your head, and then throughout the years, because this is our 18th season together.
Ooh,
You just
wow.
learn and get a feel for when he's going to talk, how much he's going to talk, when's he going to stop, that kind of thing. And I've been very fortunate. I think with the radio side, I think my 4 years spent coaching are more valuable to what I do now than the playing. I mean, the playing is good because it's how do you feel and what do you feel like and what do that kind of thing. Having gone through it, but as far as what's happening on the field, the coaching side of it, really, because you think a lot about football. I thought I was a smart player, but you really don't know what you don't know until you start coaching, and then you have to start learning about what offenses are doing and what are they trying to get accomplished, and it's a huge learning process on the coaching side, and that's all helped me to get me where I am, and do what I do now. And the fact that I can go to a game and the stress and the pressure is not as much there, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow or wake up Monday sore and beat up and all that kind of thing. And the coaching side is even more stressful just because you win and lose as a group, meaning. As a player, if you play well, you're going to play somewhere next year, right? If you're a linebacker coach and you're coaching your ass off, but the rest of the staff is not doing well, you're all getting fired. So it's not like they're going to keep you around, right? So you depend on everybody in that coaching room. You depend on the head coach. It's and you're moving your family. The whole it's like there's a whole nother angle to it that makes it even more stressful because you can always watch more film. Doesn't matter how you feel on Sunday, right? Doesn't matter if your legs are tired. You could always stay up later and watch more film and do more work. And it's crazy. It's a crazy lifestyle, I'll tell you that.
Wow. I guess the only difference would be if you were like a line coach for the Bears, right? Like you might be an interim head coach. You just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and that's you just never know with this. And with the coaching, it's the most interesting part about all that is, when a head coach gets hired and people want to call and, try to get a job or whatever, it's already too late. You talk to them before they even do the interview. Because if you're not on the list, because when a coach walks in for an interview, he's going to lay out everybody's going to hire,
Yep.
all that, and if you're not on the list, then you're not going to be on the list, period. So,
right, unless you mess up that year,
right,
and then you're out, right?
That's true.
All right,
True.
Pete. Well, before we let you go, and I know that you're saying you don't do predictions, but I'm looking at, I called this kind of like the meat grinder now of the schedule. Yes, they got past the Cardinals and they got a victory, but it's not easy with Atlanta, and then you've got Monday Night Football coming up, and then you got to face the Bears and the Lions and all that stuff. So December is always tough. How do you think, just the team that you've seen in, it's kind of like, will the real Vikings team stand up, but they're gritty and they pull it out? How do you think December will go? Just kind of your gut feeling right now.
I think it's going to be kind of a continuation of what we've seen. I mean, Atlanta's a tricky team because you watch them against the Chargers. They played hard. They've got a good defensive front, and you watch that same team play against Denver the week before their bye. That was a team that looked like it needed a vacation. So it's going to be interesting to see which Atlanta team shows up. The Bears will get a bump because the coach quit, and then hopefully we'll hit them, once that wears off, because the players understand the coaches get fired first and then we're next. So
Right.
you try to bounce, you get a little bit of a bounce. The game in Seattle is going to be tough because it's outdoors, the weather. Seattle's a very physical team, especially on their defensive front. We have 5 left. I mean, maybe we drop 1 along the way. I mean, that's my expectation.
That's impressive. Okay.
And then you will see what happens in the Detroit game, because the Detroit game may not mean anything.
Right.
That'll be interesting if it does. If that game means something, then that'll be a very interesting matchup. There. But we got to take care of the Packers at home. That's the beauty of it all, is that both teams that are in front of us in this division, we play again. And so you have your opportunity. Yeah. It's all right there. It's all right there if you want to take it.
And it would be interesting, too, if it does mean something at the end of the year between the Vikings and the Lions, if the game will be flexed. We still don't know what day it's going to be quite yet. I think they're just going to have to wait and see. So lot to be ready for.
It's all TBD right now, isn't it?
That's right. And it's not the best dawn. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Well, Pete Bercich, thank you so much, as always, my friend. Thanks for taking time out. I know you've been bouncing back and forth between here and Chicago and have a lot going on. So I really value your time, and thank you very much.
And Don, thank you. And it's been a pleasure to work with you for so many years now. And, enjoy every minute of it. Enjoy your professionalism. And I'm looking forward to the Sunday mornings, game day live.
Yeah,
it's a fun show. I really enjoy it.
Oh, awesome. Pete, thanks so much. You're a good friend, too. I really appreciate it. All
Thank you.
Pete Bercich joining us on Dawn of Sports. Pete, you're the best.
Aw.